5,000. Just let that number sink in for a second. Imagine having 5,000 roommates and you literally can't go outside for months at a time. We're not talking about the population of a small rural town here. This is the number of people living aboard a single, isolated vessel right in the middle of the ocean. It's essentially a massive city moving silently across the open ocean. And honestly, the most incredible part? This isn't science fiction. This is the day-to-day reality of a 100,000-ton American aircraft carrier. It's this astonishingly complex, self-sustaining metropolis that projects power anywhere on the globe, all while being a floating home to thousands of sailors and aviators. So welcome to this explainer on floating cities inside America's aircraft carriers. It is absolutely mind-blowing to decode the immense logistics, the sheer engineering, and the highly synchronized human coordination behind these modern marvels. We're going to peel back the layers of steel today to see exactly how these ships operate as independent floating fortresses. Okay, let's dive right in and map out our tour of this floating city. We'll start up top with a floating airport, then head down below to look at powering and protecting the ship. After that, we'll focus on sustaining the city, and finally, we'll look ahead to the future fleet. Starting off with Section 1, the floating airport and flight deck operations. Stepping onto the flight deck, you are immediately in one of the world's most dangerous workplaces. It's basically a pitching, rolling runway surrounded by deep ocean, harsh winds, and the deafening roar of jet engines. Let's break down this highly choreographed, super high-stakes launch and recovery sequence. To get airborne, jets are secured to a catapult, which is driven by either high-pressure steam or advanced electromagnetic systems. Within just 2 seconds, this system violently accelerates an aircraft from a complete standstill to over 160 miles per hour. The G-forces are massive. But coming back, that's even harder. Pilots approach a moving runway, touch down, and instantly push their engines to maximum power just as a tailhook beneath the jet tries to catch a thick steel arresting wire to bring them to a screeching halt. And this brilliantly illustrates a major leap in naval engineering. See, older carriers had straight runways. If a plane missed that arresting wire, there was a massive risk of a catastrophic forward collision into parked aircraft. No good, right? Enter the angled flight deck. This was an absolute genius innovation. By angling the landing strip off the side of the ship, a highly dangerous landing error suddenly transforms into a safe, unobstructed path for the pilot to just fly away and try again. So the crucial takeaway here is that pilots never hit the brakes upon landing. They maintain absolute full power as they hit the deck. Why? Just in case they experience what naval aviators call a bolter, which is when the tailhook completely misses the wire. Because their engines are already roaring at full thrust, they have the speed to instantly launch right back off that angled deck and loop around for a second attempt. But, the runway is really only half the story. Just below the flight deck is the hidden hangar deck. Picture an immense, enclosed industrial workspace entirely protected from the ocean. Down here, massive elevators that can lift tens of tons in seconds shuttle the jets up and down. Mechanics run these super intensive, microscopic engine inspections smelling of heavy jet fuel. Avionics experts are constantly calibrating sensitive radars, and highly trained crews handle the complex weaponry. It's literally a tireless 24/7 factory dedicated to keeping the air wing alive and lethal. Moving on to Section 2, powering and protecting, looking at the reactors and defense. Going even deeper into the belly of the ship and outwards into the surrounding ocean, we find what makes these supercarriers truly formidable: their unlimited endurance. Hidden deep within heavily armored compartments, highly trained engineers monitor nuclear reactors. Through controlled nuclear fission, these reactors boil water into high-pressure steam that drives the massive turbines. This gives the carrier unmatched operational flexibility. I mean, it can sail across the globe for decades without ever needing to pull into a port to refuel its own engines. It's just a phenomenal feat of engineering. Now, despite its massive size, the carrier never actually sails alone. It's the beating heart of an integrated ecosystem called a carrier strike group. As you can see, you've got guided missile destroyers scanning the skies for incoming threats, attack submarines lurking below to neutralize underwater dangers, and supply ships keeping the whole group fed and armed. The carrier is the ultimate command center of this mobile armada. Defending a 100,000-ton target requires exactly what this quote highlights, a layered approach. You just can't rely on a single shield. Security depends entirely on overlapping capabilities. From airborne early warning radar planes spotting threats way over the horizon, to electronic warfare jamming enemy signals, right down to those submarines patrolling the ocean floor. The strike group uses constant coordination to build a virtually impenetrable bubble around the carrier. Let's shift our focus to Section 3, Sustaining the City and Life at Sea. So, we know how it fights, we know how it moves, but how exactly do you feed and house 5,000 people isolated on the water for months on end? To truly grasp the whole city metaphor, just look at the immense civic infrastructure operating below deck. We're talking massive desalination plants converting seawater into fresh drinking water. There are 24/7 cafeterias churning out thousands of hot meals daily to accommodate every single shift. You've got a fully functioning hospital with surgical bays, plus post offices, gyms, chapels, and advanced waste management. It takes all of this to maintain the physical and mental health of a crew working exhausting, high-stress shifts. And remember, while the nuclear reactors don't need fuel, the crew and the airplanes absolutely do. But the ship can't just stop and pull over to grab groceries, right? So it relies on this high-wire logistical act called replenishment at sea, or RAS. It is mesmerizing to watch. A supply ship pulls up right alongside the moving carrier, they shoot tensioned cables across the gap, and transfer thousands of tons of cargo over the open ocean, all while both ships are actively cruising at speed. To keep this city alive requires massive logistical consumption. The vast majority of what comes across those cables is aviation fuel to keep the flight deck roaring. But right behind that, food and fresh produce, crucial spare parts for the mechanics, medical supplies, and mail from home. Actually, receiving those care packages and letters is often prioritized right alongside food because morale really is the true engine of the ship. It's a vital lifeline, delivered side by side in open waters. Thanks to this incredible logistical network, the carrier has unmatched global mission flexibility. It can pivot instantly, from projecting military deterrence and conducting maritime security, to flying its helicopters for search and rescue, or even providing humanitarian disaster relief after a massive storm. It's not just a weapon, it is a highly adaptable tool for international stability. Which brings us to our final section. Section 4, the future fleets and next-gen carriers. We really have to ask how a military concept that's over a century old is adapting to the rapidly changing landscape of modern warfare. The aircraft carrier is currently undergoing a radical evolution, blending those traditional human-operated flight decks with next-generation advancements. We're looking at the heavy integration of drones that can fly riskier, longer missions. Artificial intelligence is stepping in to predict maintenance failures before they even happen. And crucially, as ships become more connected, there's a massive push for enhanced cybersecurity to protect these digital networks from unseen attacks, right alongside upgraded physical defenses against highly advanced long-range weapons. Which leaves us with this final, critical thought to ponder. With drones, AI, and cyber warfare rapidly taking over the battle space, how will the ultimate floating city adapt to the wars of tomorrow? As adversarial technologies become cheaper and longer ranged, Will these 100,000-ton giants continue to dominate the oceans as they have for the last 80 years? Or will their role fundamentally shift? It's a fascinating question about the very future of naval strategy. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the incredible mechanics of America's aircraft carriers. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.